dog.
An Auckland man's death from drinking liquid meth camouflaged as Canadian beer is highlighting this country's role in fueling a surge in meth use in New Zealand.
Whoa.
He was screaming out, I want my mom, I want my mom, I'm dying.
So that's Billy Sagala, and he's describing what happened when his 21-year-old brother-in-law, Aiden, took a sip of what he thought was a can of Canadian beer. This is back in March 2023. Well, instead, the can that was gifted to him by his boss was filled with liquid meth imported from Canada. And Aiden died tragically 5 days later. For more on the Canadian connection in this story, we're joined by Avery Hames, host and managing editor of W5. Welcome back to the studio.
Thank you.
This is a wild story. And when you tell me that there were things in this story that you learned, I pay attention.
I learned every step along this way, and I was tipped off to Aiden Sagala's story and the Canadian connection. And then I started digging into it. And this realization that Canada is the #1 exporter of meth to New Zealand blew me away. I had no idea. We hear so much about fentanyl going to the United States. We don't hear about our role in what is a devastating crisis in New Zealand. Meth use has doubled in the past year. And doubled in the past. They do wastewater testing there, so they have a really good clue of what's going on with meth use. It has doubled. There's not a community that has not been affected by meth.
Wow.
And Canada, criminals in Canada are supplying that meth.
Well, let's talk about how it's disguised and how it gets.
Real quick. You know what's
Go
in
ahead.
Canada? Fucking nothing. Like how you said there'll be motherfuckers in the jungle or some shit, bro. They would just be in the wilderness with fucking entire labs, bro. I never thought of Canada, but it's like, damn, Canada got hella rural areas where they could be just tucked off, mass producing shit.
And you know what else too, though, bro, about the meth? What's the shit that China produces that is part of the meth? I forgot. So look, bro.
Well, China's one of the biggest producers of fentanyl, and then Mexico is one of the biggest like distributors, like allegedly.
So my point is that
they also whip it up themselves too.
Well, so my point is that here in America, the shit that come from China, bro, they export shit in Canada and in Mexico is way different in America. So like how they talking about it's an epidemic out here, motherfucking your motherfucking trade negotiations with them other motherfucking countries ain't like how it is here 100%. That's why the shit gets smuggled here already cooked up and shit like that. You motherfuckers is the ones that's bringing this shit in because of your fucking laws. 100%.
That's a fact.
Let's get back
you know when you war, there's many ways to war.
Oh,
Sure. You could like for example, propaganda, right? This is like another form of like chemical warfare, so to speak. Drug use. Like, all right, start creating these epidemics in these certain areas of the world, and then we can capitalize, off of X, Y, Z and the third. You feel me?
Remember we did the story where they said that China on the motherfucking solar panels or some shit.
Yeah, they had to listen in woo-wops.
Is there, bro? And
they was just listening in for years and years because they were the only sole providers at the time, or the first ones of that type of technology. So then here we are. What's the word? You're licensing this company to build your shit. And then they're putting listening devices in this motherfucker and then for years and years collecting data. Hey, look, TikTok. Remember the whole conspiracy in the beginning with TikTok allegedly was like, oh, these motherfuckers, it's China and they're gonna get all your information and the kids and this and that and blah 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 that and a third. But like, it's not far fetched. Just think about the platforms in general. You know what I mean? I mean, look, we've done enough content, me and you. Right, that someone could probably figure out an AI show of like me and you. We'd be like, was that? I don't remember that show.
Right.
Because we got so much basis out there for them to work with in that aspect, right? Because like, see, that's the thing with AI. I make music, right? So I know what it is to pull something out of thin air. See, AI isn't pulling things out of thin air. They're pulling out of a basis. You know what I mean? A database where like, you know what I mean? There's different shits that were contributed to it to build this. Like, I mean, you know me, I get the super conspiracy theory with it. I see how the movie goes. I seen Terminator 2, bro. You know what I mean? It's, you know what I mean? The AI eventually, You know, I was like, okay, that was one thing that we was talking about in the lab. Yeah, shout out to my man Nick Tree.
Shout out to
When we
Nick
was in the
Tree.
lab, he was like, look, that AI shit's hella crazy, bro. Make a beat like out of nowhere. I'm like, okay. He's like, yeah, but he's like, but the rules is now, like, this is like, you know, because the rules are ever changing. Like, say we wanted to do like Lil Wayne had some joint on his last album. Cameron had some joint on his last album where they, you know, it's straight AI beat, but they rapped over it original, right? But there's something contributed to the beat that's that's created by somebody. Then the AI builds the rest. So that's like so it's like, say if I go, hey, I want a 1970s sounding funk beat, but with a modern day trap bounce, and I'm gonna play some Rhodes keyboards over it, right? And then so boom, it gives me that beat, and then I'll play the Rhodes keyboards over it. Now this is mine. You know what I mean? So you can't just have it be 100% AI. Same thing with our YouTube shit. That was part of that June 15th shit when I started looking into it. It's like, say all of a sudden we start doing like intros with complete AI music and complete AI generated footage, right? YouTube will flag that now.
Is that right?
Yeah, they'll be like, fuck that.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
completely not original.
Right.
To whatever AI or whatever done it. You get what I'm saying? So, and mind you, until it becomes a repetitive thing, then they'll flag you, right? Like how we noticed with my songs that are original.
Yeah, they don't want you making money like that.
Yeah.
My mama, they miss facts. Bong said, now no one is allowed in the house. Haven't had a friend inside for 11 years plus. 100%. Big
That's a fact.
That's just like you can't have everybody in your motherfucking car. 100%. Them days is they've been over with. Riding around, like, no, bro. You know what I mean? Like how Bo said before, you know, plenty of times when a motherfucker get pulled over, they gonna ask you for your license and all that bullshit, and then they gonna ask you if you're on parole or probation or anyone in this in your car. And if you give that yes answer, everybody's coming inside the car, and they're gonna run through that bitch. And you, not pause, not figuratively.
Hey, look at this. I had this one joint when I was going through the unreleased, like all like straight original beats, no samples. I found this joint, right? But I said, barely alone, barely by myself, but I get it on my own. I don't need nobody help. Laughing at you ear hustlers on the sideline with your question asking. I tell them, go fuck yourself. I don't never talk, not even amongst myself. I'm scot-free, got me confused with somebody else. I'm getting high before we hit the road. Can't be smoking in the whip when you transporting the load. Can't be rolling with the homie if I know he hot. Doing dumbass shit like that, get you popped. I don't even stunt hard because I ain't trying to get watched. Well, that's at least until my rap career takes off. Scot-free. What is that? Scot-free. I'll never take a day off. What is that? Never take a day off. But anyways, I'm always spending some real game there. You just reminded me of that. Cause like, listen, hey bro, you hot. Like the homie get out. Oh yeah, we celebrating and shit. Then he's trying to hit us up to kick it. Nah, bro, you just kick it right there. You know what I mean? You just say over all the way over. You hot.
Right. Or we just don't, you know what I mean? We can't ride with nothing.
Fuck no. Yeah, we'll go out later.
Oh, everything.
We'll go out and have some fun later.
It's a cold world out here.
Yeah, we're working out here. You hot. You stay over there.
Oh, my mama.
You know what I mean?
Cold world.
Can't be rolling with the homie. Let's do dumbass shit, man. Get you popped.
Cold
I ain't
world.
even trying to stunt hard because I ain't trying to get watched.
Facts, 100%, bro.
You know what I mean? You're not supposed to have anyone knowing what you're doing. That's why the motherfuckers be in the little rural areas of the whole. Look at Banks. He said like this. Hit that side of town for 40 years has been going yay, right? That's the first time I ever heard about that shit. Isn't that crazy?
Right.
Because something can just be right under your nose. And look at how big Cali is too. It's like an up and down Cali. And the fact that we're like that close to Mexico, or you know what I mean? And you know what I'm saying? So it's just, you know what I mean? It's part of that underworld, bro. You know what I mean?
Not even Mexican. That freeway, that 5, it take you
that 5. Yeah, you ain't lying. That I-5,
and it'll take you all the way to Canada. 100%.
all the way.
Like, look,
to where apparently they are the leading distribution.
Come on
this
now.
epidemic in New Zealand.
Hey, damn good.
Insane.
Damn good segue. Let's finish this thing up.
Yeah.
There. So you spoke with, we saw this, Billy, Aiden's brother-in-law, who was with him when he took that fatal sip. It was disguised as Honey Bear beer, so a fake brand. How did that lead to, so this is how they're smuggling it, I'm assuming, right? In cans like this?
So this is what's extraordinary. In our investigation, we really tried to reverse engineer the shipment of that beer, which, as you say, doesn't exist. And what we've been able to learn is that somebody in Toronto purchased 29,000 cans of aluminum cans, made those fake labels. They filled the bulk of those cans with real beer. And then they filled about 1,500, 2,000 of those cans with liquid meth, and they shipped it, and it was undetected. The only reason this was discovered was because of Aiden's tragic death. In the storage unit, you showed some images from that storage unit when police raided it after Aiden's death. They found all of these beers, and what they were doing there was they were taking the liquid, removing it, and then crystallizing it for sale in the New Zealand market.
Right.
The manager, one of Aiden's boss rather, was giving away what he thought was real beer. And Aiden took one gulp and then died 5 days later.
So obviously New Zealand probes this death. They found this warehouse, as you mentioned, and we saw there. It becomes the site of the largest meth bust in that country's history. And so you've talked about how Canada is the #1 shipper to New Zealand. What does that do for our relationship now with this country and anything that's coming into the country from Canada?
I had really extraordinary access to speaking to the top organized crime investigators, top customs folks in New Zealand. We are a Five Eyes country, or Five Eyes countries. Getting them to acknowledge their frustration on the record was difficult. They talked about great relationships, but the reality is a lot of meth is getting through. And there's a series of massive busts that have been made. One in maple syrup, which was a real brand. Criminals in Canada purchased thousands of cans of maple syrup and filled some of them with meth. One was in canola oil. Canadian officials stopped 6 tons of canola oil, 6 tons, Anne-Marie, of canola oil from getting to New Zealand and Australia. They've put fake meth in and managed to watch it as it went along its way there.
So why Canada? What makes us so prolific at sending out meth? And when you're talking about quantities that big, those are big labs. How are they going undetected?
Massive labs. Canada is seen as a place of vulnerability. And what we know from tracking shipping records is that it's a combination of factors. It's cartels in Mexico shipping meth up to the United States into Canada and then sending it across. It's meth coming from the United States into Canada and then across. And we are also a major producer of meth in this country. In the last 2 years, the RCMP has busted 8 or 9 massive meth labs. There was one in Falkland, British Columbia, that was a university level lab. They were creating new drugs, but they were also creating meth for the New Zealand, Australia market.
So where's our responsibility? What's our government's response to this?
That's so cute. Well, that's my big thing. Like, what are we doing about it?
Yeah.
You know, there's a young man who's died. A lot of people are suffering in New Zealand and in Australia because of meth that's coming here. The reality is, and I understand this, customs is more interested in every country with what's coming into our country than what's leaving. We know that. And
criminals know that.
And criminals know that as well. So it's sort of on each country to stop whatever's coming in. This documentary that airs on Saturday night really is exploring what is Canada's responsibility to investigate once there has been a meth. So when 700...
That's heavy.
That's a cold word. I got the countries mixed up, y'all, but yeah, that shit is heavy, big bro. Whole world, dog.
Yeah, bro. But yeah, man, you already know. OJ and a blunt for breakfast. You know what I mean?